Oh my God, I'm laughing at my title. Story time about a dusty Puerto Rican guy who tried to humble me. This story time comes from high school. So I grew up going to mega churches. So not the small churches. Mega churches are like the really big churches where they have thousands of people. So I grew up in a mega church environment. Think of like Joel Osteen, not him specifically, but that type of church. I grew up around a lot of people that do like televangelism or ministry and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, there's this one guy. So he was a black Puerto Rican, well, black slash mixed biracial. So I don't know if he was monoracially black or if he was like mixed race black. His phenotype, I'll put up a photo. I'll think of someone or like come up with somebody and insert a photo. So anyway, this is back when I was in high school, and for those of you who don't know, I do come from a background of people that do ministry and stuff like that. So I grew up going to the church, and so the youth church that I went to, it was a really big youth church. So think of, it's almost like going to an entire high school, except it's at church. So there might be like hundreds of people there. You might go to conferences where there are like thousands of other teenagers. So I grew up in an environment like that. So my church environment, I went to some small churches, but for the most part, they were big. So anyway, this was one of the big churches. So there was this one guy, let's call him Frankie for like a nickname. So Frankie, he was kind of popular, I guess, at this church. And there were a lot of girls that like liked him or whatever. And so one of my friends, she was actually one of those hater friends. So she liked this guy as well, or she like thought he was cute. But that friend, she liked every guy. And I wasn't allowed to date or anything. So I was kind of like minding my business. And when I was a teenager, that was back when I used to wear my hair silk pressed 24/7, because that was back when like having the long, silky, straight hair was like in style. So my hair was long and silk pressed, like down my back all the time. And so I remember when I went to church, I was considered like quote unquote popular, I guess, or like pretty, or you know how guys would try to like talk to you and stuff. So guys, they would try to talk to me at the church, and I didn't think anything of it because obviously I wasn't allowed to date or anything. So my friend who was a hater, she would try to like take pictures of me from unflattering angles. Oh my God, it's so funny thinking about it now. So she would try to embarrass me in front of this guy. She would try to take pictures of me from unflattering angles and then show him, or like, just do random stuff like that. And it's like, I didn't really care because obviously I wasn't checking for this guy. Oh, by the way, this guy was short. He was like shorter than me. So obviously I was not like checking for him. And plus, I'm at church. So why would I be thinking about somebody's dick at church? Anyway, so this friend, she would try to take unflattering pictures of me and send it to this guy or show this particular guy. So I don't know if this guy thought that I really liked him or not, but I remember this guy, he decided to start a rumor that me and my friend were fighting over him and that we both liked him, and that like we're being catty with each other because we both liked him. And so I didn't really care that that rumor was started because obviously it wasn't true. So I was just minding my business. And I noticed that this guy, the Puerto Rican guy, he started coming up to like me and my friend, the one who would take the unflattering photos. I remember he started walking up to her. He complimented her, and then he complimented her sister. And then he would compliment our other friend. And then he would look at me and like walk away. So he would do stuff like that. I remember this other time, all of us were sitting at a table during church. So at my church, they had a cafe thing within the church. So like you could eat dinner there and stuff. So we were all sitting at the table, and I remember he brought up how everybody at the table was pretty. And he was like, "Oh, you guys are all so pretty, blah, blah, blah." I had never really even talked to him. Like, I kind of ignored him. I just wasn't interested. But I noticed this guy, he was talking about how pretty all the girls were at the table. So he talked to my one friend. He was like, "Oh, you're so pretty. You have these really pretty eyes." Because my friend, she had like really light eyes. And then he said to this other friend, he was like, "Oh yeah, and you have really pretty dimples. Like you're very pretty as well." And then she was like, "Oh, thank you." And then he said the same thing to the other girl, like, "Oh, yeah, also, you're very pretty. You have a very pretty smile." So he literally went one by one across the whole table, and then he complimented all the other girls. And then he just looked at me, and then he just got up from the table and walked away. And so I remember thinking, okay, that was obviously like a humbling tactic because, and I'm not trying to say it like, oh my God, I'm just so cocky. I'm just so pretty. I'm prettier than everyone. No, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying that obviously I do know that, I know my worth and I know my value, but I didn't take it personally. I was like, oh, whatever. I mean, you can't please everyone, right? Maybe some people really do think you're ugly, or maybe they really do think you're like average at best. And so that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh, whatever, that's fine. So I didn't really think anything of it, especially because my friend, she was taking all these pictures of me. She was not a real friend, but my friend was taking all these pictures of me at unflattering, ugly angles and like showing this guy. So I was just thinking, oh, whatever, that's fine. He just thinks I'm ugly. That's cool. And so as time went on, I just kept ignoring that guy. And there were other little boys at the church that like tried to talk to me or they liked me. I did end up sneaking and having little fake boyfriends and stuff. But long story short, I was like quote unquote popular. And then I remember this guy one day. We were all talking about the song Walk It Out. Remember the song Walk It Out? Now walk it out, walk it out. Yeah, that song. I think it was like DJ Unk. Yeah, so we were all talking outside of the church, outside of the courtyard, and they were all in a circle, like, trying to do the walk it out dance, so all of us were doing the walk it out dance. I remember everybody in the circle, they were like, "Oh, Exoticals United. Oh, you look so cute. Like, you look like one of the girls from the Walk It Out video," or something like that. Like, they were complimenting me, basically saying I looked like one of those little video vixens, I guess, and so I just wasn't paying attention, and I was kinda like, "Oh, thanks." And then this guy, Frankie, he walks up to the group, and then he was, like, looking at me and everything, and I feel like he was a white worshiper because I noticed that, for example, all of the people in the circle talking about the walk it out dance, they were of all the different races and stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, I just wanted to tell you, I always thought you were like really pretty. And I always thought that you had such pretty hair. Like, whenever you would walk by, I would see your hair blowing in the wind. And then I'd be like, man, she has some pretty ass hair." And then I was just thinking, "Okay." And then he basically started, like, ass kissing at that point. He was like, "Oh, can I touch your hair? Like, can I touch your skin? Your skin is so smooth." Like, he started ass kissing, and I feel like a part of it was because maybe he thought he could humble me or something, or maybe he thought that, like, by not complimenting me or by complimenting all of my friends, literally all of my friends had the same phenotype as me, by the way. So I don't know if he thought that by complimenting all of my friends and not complimenting me, that somehow that would like bring me down a notch, but it didn't. And so once he saw that I like continued to just have self-esteem, when the white people or like the non-black people were acknowledging me or kind of acknowledging my beauty or whatever, or kind of being nice to me, then suddenly he wants to come up and kind of admit his feelings. That's the exact dusty behavior that I'm talking about. And by the way, anytime a man compliments women who look like you, or same thing with unambiguous black women as well, anytime they compliment a person who looks like you, but then they don't compliment you, humbling tactic. It's like you're not going to be able to convince exoticals that we're not pretty because we look like your beauty icons. We have the same skin tones as them, we have the same hair textures as them, same bone structures as them, whether we have keen features or broad features. So there's nothing you can do to like convince us that we're somehow ugly or like that we're not worth shit. There's nothing you can do to convince us of that. But anyway, yeah. So, but that with that dusty Afro Puerto Rican guy, so he ended up marrying a refrigerator shaped white woman. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. So he was really, really short, like maybe 5'1", 5'2". He married this woman. She was maybe like 5'6", and she was really big. So you know what Cynthia G talks about? How she's like, "Oh, this is who they really choose," or whatever. So that's who he chose. I don't know if he's still married to her. I don't think he is, but he ended up becoming a Dusty in real life. So anyway, I just wanted to tell that story and just talk my shit. What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.